Hello, I'm Alistair Webb, a neurologist from Oxford. I'm here at the third European Stroke Organisation conference in Prague. I'm here today with Markus Wagner, the Vice President of the Stroke Alliance for Europe, the principal patient organisation in Europe for patients with stroke, and Professor Norrving, the Professor of Neurology from Lund University, previous Chair of the World Stroke Organisation, and together these are the initiators of the Burden for Stroke report and the action plan for Europe. And so, Professor Norrving, could I ask you, why do you think this report was necessary, and what do you think it brings?
This provides a very important background material of what is the current status of stroke services and the burden of stroke in Europe. We need to have the data, we need to see what is the current situation as a platform, as a background on what is needed, what do we need to improve on.
Okay, excellent. And Markus, how did the partnership between ESOC and SAFE come about leading to this report?
Well, I think there has been a long-going activity talking to each other, but now we have a common memorandum how to work with each other, and we have it a little bit more formal. And I think these projects like the Stroke Action Plan and the Burden of Stroke are projects we should do together, we can do together, and we want to do together. And I think the most important thing is that looking at the EU, this is expected from the officials that expert organizations and also the patients' organizations work together to align their force and their strength.
Okay. And from the Burden of Stroke report, what are the principal findings that will help guide us in the future?
That the situation in Europe, even if Europe is regarded as a high-income country and a high level, there is substantial differences between different parts of Europe. There is a bad need really to improve the services in almost all parts of Europe.
Okay, and is that true across the whole area of stroke care, from prevention to delivery of secondary care and acute care?
I would say that all across the different domains of stroke care, there is an important need of improvements everywhere.
Okay, and how much of an impact do you think this has from the patient perspective?
Well, I think from the patient perspective, we are very happy that in the acute phase, a lot of things have been done. For instance, building up stroke units. But if you look at the disparities within Europe of the coverage of stroke units, then there is only on average in Europe a 30% chance that you get the best treatment. So this is something, now we have the data, and from a national point of view, each and every country can go now and go to the health authorities and say this is something which is evidence-based and we should have it. If you look at the aftercare, you see that in many countries there are no structured plans for patients. So this is very important. We can lobby for, we can work with the experts, we can ask for more research, and this really makes a difference. And I think this is something which was really needed from a patient point of view. And on the other hand, if you look into the report, there are also recommendations for the health authorities, and adding there are some predictions for the next 20 years. So we would see that the burden will increase because of the demographic changes we have in Europe. We have a lot of strokes in Europe already, and this will increase. So therefore, as Bo mentioned, it's a really good platform to improve along the whole continuum of care.
Sure. And I understand that the Burden of Stroke report will lay the foundation for the action plan for Europe.
Yes, this is essential background, and the action plan is something that will start now with the work on that, and it will physically take place in March next year, but there will be a long preparation phase and there will be a phase afterwards with input from all different sources. The action plan will give the advice, will give the direction on what should be done for stroke, what should be the goals, the targets to the year 2030, to set the direction that these are the most important things to do, these are targets that we should reach, and also the report will include the most important research areas, what is needed to know to expand further.
And I understand the purpose of the action plan is to influence policy in the political sphere at the highest level.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is academia and experts coming together along with input from the patient organizations to give the advice that should be used for political purposes and for an action plan for Europe.
Okay. And from the SAFE perspective, how important has the collaboration between the patient organisation and professional organisations been in raising the agenda of stroke?
Well, as mentioned before, I think that's the most important step both organizations did. To formalize it a little bit so that our successors have some grounds to work on. And on the other hand, I think patient organizations can learn a lot about doctors, and we know that we have, especially in Europe, very dedicated doctors building up stroke units. So looking at the continuum of care now and being involved, this is very important for patient organization because we can bring in the patient voice, meaning we can tell, for instance, stories to politicians. We can act, so to say, on the emotional basis, but we need the expertise and the data to be convincing. And I think this is what's the alliance about. And so we can go campaigning together and bring also evidence in our campaigning. And therefore we need the expertise of researchers and vice versa.
Okay. This is clearly a very important, excellent collaboration to make a big impact in the future. Is there anything else either of you would like to add?
I think it's one core mission of the European Stroke Organization, not also to provide a scientific platform for new advances, but also to have this political perspective that we need to improve the services, we are the experts, we should provide the advice to politicians and to administrators and to governmental bodies.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.